Individuality in the Black community, in the Black American community, does not exist. It only exists when it can be used against us. Now, I'm an individual, right? Now, I'll constantly say I'm an individual, and I'm the kind of individual who believes in, critical thinking and doing things for yourself and improving upon yourself, thus improving upon your environment. I don't believe in following the leader. I think following somebody blindly is ridiculous, regardless of your skin, creed, and beliefs. So I believe that I'm an individual. I live as an individual. I live as though I am me and no one else. I do not follow a crowd of people. Okay. And it's important for me to establish this before I get into the totality of my discussion. If we were to sum up any other race with one individual, we would be called racist. We would be called generalizers. We would be stereotyping people, right? But when it happens to Black people, it's okay. I don't know why it's okay. It shouldn't be okay. It's stupid. It's idiotic to believe that every individual that goes through something sums up that race. I've had to stop watching the news for a couple of days, and I picked up on the news again today, and I've been watching a few things. And if you believe the media is your friend, then you are sadly mistaken. The media gets their money like every other corporation gets their money, okay? And if you think of the media as another thing or entity that has to create revenue, then you wouldn't trust them either. Sensationalizing, generalizing, embellishing things, that is what the media does. The media has done this regardless if it's on paper or if it's on a digital outlet like, Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or just their own digital website. Regardless of how you get your media, it's all tarnished. It's all dirty, right? So there's a few news channels that I've watched recently to compare and contrast. Now, it's not just a recent study that I've done. This has to do with years of me watching these particular news channels. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, and NBC. I've been watching these news channels for a while, and I recently came back to watching all of them recently because I wanted to get my point across within this discussion. A lot of it is garbage when it has to do with certain people. When we think about incidences that happen with, for example, the white guy who went to the church, a predominantly historic Black church, went into it, shot 9 people, and the media is trying to figure out what to call it. It's not hard what it should be called. It's not a tough job. It's terrorism fueled by racism. That's it. Nothing more to it. He killed innocent people. They've done nothing. These people couldn't be any more innocent than you or I. And I said this to someone the other day. I said they're going to figure out a way to blame the people that got killed and were just in the church worshiping or doing prayer, that they were the reason for why they died. And no less than I say that, this man from, I think it was the NRA, and then also someone else said, well, why didn't they fight them back? Or the guy from the NRA said, well, if the guy who was the preacher, which I think was also the senator, if he had passed the law where you could hold a concealed weapon within the church, then maybe there would have been somebody there to fight back. See, this is why I curse and I scream and I yell, because I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? See, nobody respects my point of view until I just talk to you calmly and talk to you, I guess, without telling you how dumb you people are, I guess. But anyway, to the point I'm trying to make. It amazes me that the media is trying to figure out a way to frame this. There's no other way to frame it. He's a terrorist fueled by racism. It came from the horse's mouth, literally came from this guy's mouth, this racist white guy's mouth. He said, I wanted to kill some black people, and purposely left a few of them alive so they could tell the story, because he wanted to start a race war. I'm not getting into all the details for it, because you can go and read about it. Now, the point behind me bringing up the whole thing about the news channels, everybody is getting this wrong. No one's just flat out saying he's a terrorist who was fueled by racism. That's it. Nothing more to it. And the part that makes me upset, and people who are minorities who fight against black people, which drives me crazy, you would be next on the chopping block if we weren't here to point the finger at and say, oh, this is the bad guy. I'm going to make it even simpler for you people. I'm going to take it to the point of fiction. I was once watching the X-Men. Okay, it's one of my favorite comics, Marvel, the X-Men, okay? And I watched the recent one, Future Past. And the man that was creating the Sentinels to kill the mutants, he said, I love mutants. Yes, I want them to be the enemy, but I love them at the same time. He said, I love them because this will bring people together. They are the they are the one thing all humans can gravitate towards and hate, and we can hate it, and we can have that commonality between us, because if we all hate these one group of people, then we can't focus on the real thing that's going on within us, which is we actually don't like each other just because of small, dumb nuances that mean actually nothing in the grand scheme of things. And it's going to bring us together because we have a common goal, which is to hate the mutants. Now let me bring it back to reality. African Americans and black people around the world, dark-skinned black people, we are hated. We're hated just because of the color of our skin. That is it. If you people who are minorities out there, right, who have darker complexions, do you really think that if we weren't here, that you wouldn't be next on the chopping block? You would be next, because there's always got to be a boogeyman. There's always got to be somebody got to point the blame without... People always want to point the blame outward, never inward. And I'm guilty of that myself, like especially when it comes to like black affairs. When there's things happening in other countries, like for example, the Dominican Republic. I will never support the Dominican Republic. Absolutely not. All the crazy stuff they're doing to these people, forcing them to go to Haiti because their skin is darker. It's ridiculous, and nobody in the media is talking about it. Everybody's focusing on, what do we call this fucking racist who went into a church and killed 9 people? What are we supposed to call him? What's the proper term? Why don't you guys just do what you always do, which is call him what you call us: thugs, murderers, criminals. Like, he's a terrorist fueled by racism. He's a racist. Nothing more to it. Next subject. Let his ass go get the death chair or whatever, right? Actually, better yet, have him go to Utah. I think it's Utah where they just passed that law where they're going to shoot your ass again, which is a whole other thing I want to talk to you about. Let me talk about that really quickly. The law for Utah, I think it's Utah, where they just passed that they're going to have people standing in line to shoot a person. And they're saying that they're going to have a couple of guns that are filled with blanks, and one gun is going to actually have the bullet, and whoever shoots the gun, they're not going to know which person killed who, so they can help with like the morality and the without that person feeling like, oh, I just killed somebody, which makes no sense, because the point of you going here, it's like they don't know where they're going. They don't know. It's like the people who are shooting the gun don't know that they're going to go execute somebody. They know they're going to go kill somebody. So putting blanks in a gun is irrelevant. Yeah, you may not have directly killed them, like you pull the trigger and kill them and that's it. But you know why you're going there. You're going there for the potential of possibly killing somebody. So why do people feel like that? That is so stupid, and people are so stupid to think that that is something that's going to help with like your sanity and your morality. First of all, in America, which I don't understand why people don't think in these terms, we don't all share the same moral compass. There are places in the world where if they told you to go shoot somebody because they did something bad, they just do it and think nothing of it. They think, oh, he's a bad person, just shoot him, kill him. They feel nothing for it. Morality is not the same in every place in the world. So we need to stop thinking like in terms of like, oh, America, our morality is this. No, because since we're a melting pot, there's different levels of morality, okay? And in other countries, it's even wider. So anyway, that's a whole other thing. But back to the subject at hand. When it comes to generalizing one person and saying that this one person sums up the millions of people within that race is really absurd. And a lot of news channels do this with black people. Pretty much all minorities, anybody pretty much of darker complexion, they do this too. People who are Muslim or are in that faith or whatever, they tend to generalize them. Like every time something happens, it has to be someone who looks like them. They automatically call them terrorists, which is completely absurd because a lot of them have nothing to do with that. They're just practicing their faith, and because people don't understand it, they're trying to categorize it as being something I don't understand, so it's bad. What? So, anyway, I know get some people on here are going to be really ignorant about what I'm saying, but it's true. Immediately when you hear that about someone who's Muslim, people automatically assume they're terrorists. Why the fuck would you do that? That's not right to them, and it's not right to, it wouldn't be right for you if people were saying that all Christians were terrorists. Because if you look in the history of Christianity, yeah, they kind of were terrorists, and a lot of people died from not believing in that faith. But anyway, so just think about that. Think about what I'm saying. Don't just hear me, but hear what I'm saying and feel what I'm saying and think about what I'm saying. But the generalizing of people, when it's used against us, okay, once again, one person is usually the totality of us, which makes no sense. But we aren't looked at as individuals until they can use it against us. What do I mean? When they try to say that you can uplift yourself, right, from the bootstraps and everything, which isn't real. You can't just uplift yourself from your bootstraps and then become elevated to wealth and upper middle class. It does not work that way. The only way you can uplift yourself to middle class, or for people of minority, especially black people, the only way you can lift yourself from being at poverty level to middle class to upper middle class to being rich is that you literally have to know somebody from the upper middle class and from the rich status to like you enough to elevate you to that status. Or you're really, really smart and you came up with some kind of chemistry thing that helped people with like HIV or something, or some kind of STD they could take. Like people who are chemists and they create their own things, they can elevate themselves to that wealth because they are smart enough to do that. But there's different levels to even get there. Like you have to, there's so much schooling involved that you will put yourself in anywhere between $60,000 to $100,000 in debt to get to the point where you'll get to the point of the level of being rich if you were like that. Anyway, so that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother thing. But they use people who elevate themselves, black people who have been able to elevate themselves, as a ways to attack black people. You're only individual in those people's eyes when they can use it to attack you, to use it against you. So for example, basketball players, football players, Tiger Woods, the Williams sisters, if they happen to know somebody who went to Harvard Law, if they knew two black people that went to Harvard Law, they automatically are saying, well, those two black people did it, so why can't you do it? Or they knew people that went to Yale or Princeton or Berkeley or they went to a higher level of college. If they know one black person that speaks 4 languages. Do you see where I'm going with this? They know a black person who owns their own business. They take that one individual and they use it against you to say, why can't you uplift yourself to this? Not even putting into consideration how they got to that position. Not putting into consideration how they developed their wealth. It's just automatic. Since you did it, they can do it, and you have no reason to feel the way that you feel, which is completely absurd. So that is how individuality is not the same for other people. Black people are not allowed to be individuals. When we are allowed to be individuals, it's usually used against us as a means and ways to say, why can't you do better? Let me know what you think. Peace.